there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide, Andy, and the greatest driver, Diego. They're the best. I love them. Even though Andy owes me $5. I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
All right, dude. Safety rules. Safety rules. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need any assistance during the tour, if you have a medical emergency, if you drop something of value over the side, or if you have sound or video issues, just reach up and pull that red cord that runs down the center of the tram, and I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please remain seated, keeping your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. The studio is private property, guys. So if at any time you drop your cell phone or you just can't wait to use the restroom, reach up and pull that cord and remain seated. 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 There you go. This one's kind of a no-brainer, ladies and gentlemen. No smoking of any kind. Sorry, Frank. Be prepared for loud noises. Fire effects. Sudden tram movements. And the possibility of getting wet. So do keep those cameras protected. Now we've just turned down our and for those of you who have selfie sticks, for your safety and the safety of those around you, please refrain from using them for the duration of the tour. No selfie sticks in the tour, please. We've just turned down our Universal movie timeline. These original movie posters on either sides of the track. Just a few examples of the more than 8,000 films we've made here in the last 100 years. Like this year's Oscar winner for, this year's Golden Globe winner for Best Picture, 1917, which has been nominated for 10 Academy Awards. That's pretty exciting. We've just now, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to cross into our front lawn, which houses our 28 sound stages. In these buildings, we can create any environment a story demands. Great example coming up at the bottom of this hill. It's Sound Stage 12, currently home to the hit singing competition The Voice, with coaches John Legend, Blake Shelton, Gwen Stefani, and Kelly Clarkson. Kelly Clarkson also hosting the Kelly Clarkson Show over on Stage 1, so she's a busy lady. But Stage 12 is the largest sound stage on our lot, one of the largest in the world, where we've created some of the biggest sets, some of the biggest moments in movie history, like Frankenstein's Laboratory, Dracula's Castle, the Scarface Mansion, the Clock Tower from Back to the Future, the Visitor Center from Jurassic Park, the freeway in Whoville, and the best party John Favreau's ever been to. Well, that guy directed Swingers. About 75% of all of the filming we do here at Universal is done in these sound stages we're driving past, so I've turned down my microphone just a bit in case we come up in a quiet zone all of a sudden. Stage 19 coming up on your left is where Steven Spielberg shot the kitchen scene from Jurassic Park when the Hammond grandchildren are being hunted by the velociraptors. Elevator doors are open on stage 18. See them building some sets in there. Recently shot in there, the award-winning series Dirty John, Eric Bana and Connie Britton. Each one of these sound stages has a little red light beside the door. We call it a wigwag light, but when it's red or when it's flashing, it's how I know the cameras are rolling. More importantly, it's how I know they're recording sound, which puts us in a quiet zone because you don't want my voice in the background of your favorite television show. Even though I think it'd be cool. Now this parking structure over here on your left doubled as a massive cliff face for the Lost World Jurassic Park, when a T-Rex nudges the Mobile Lab over the edge with Vince Vaughn, Julianne Moore, and Jeff Goldblum inside. It's a great example of production design. Over the years, we've taken audiences from the bottom of the ocean to the surface of the moon. We did so with help of Stage 21 over here on your left. It's where we built Mission Control for Ron Howard's Apollo 13. Right now it's home to the hit series Superstore. Elephant doors are open. get a glimpse of Cloud 9, the Superstore on Superstore. Stars America Ferrera, Mark McKinney, and Ben Feldman. Now coming up on your right, guys, stages 41 and 42, the series Homecoming, from executive producer Julia Roberts. Stars Academy Award winner Chris Cooper and Janelle Monáe. Homecoming actually based on a podcast. And it was... These days movies and television shows can be based on a number of things. It used to be sort of novels and plays, but now we've got podcasts, video games, comic books. So Stuart and Jerry are very excited about Illumination Entertainment's latest animated spectacular, The Secret Life of Pets 2. We're actually working on a brand new attraction for our theme park based on The Secret Life of Pets. That'll open this year. And stage 44 over here on your right. Been very busy lately with the series Good Girls, starring Christina Hendricks, Retta, and Mae Whitman. 3 suburban moms who fall on financial hard times and embark on a dark comedic crime spree. They're in season 3. Ever since our first broadcast at the 1939 New York World's Fair, we've had a long history of producing classic television shows. So where did all these movies and television shows originally come from? Well, for the answer to that question, we need a producer. And these bungalows on your left house production offices for writers, directors, and producers who currently have development deals with a studio. Check out 5195 over there on your left. That used to be the office of the legendary director Alfred Hitchcock. It's his profile painted next to the front door. And stage 22 over here on your left, home to the revival of Will and Grace. That series took an 11-year hiatus, and during that time, the cast only aged 5 years. Happens all the time in Hollywood. But everything they need to produce the show is housed in that building. It's a state-of-the-art production facility, which is why Jennifer Lopez's dance competition series World of Dance shot right next door in stage 23. Alright guys, let's get to the fun part. We're crossing into the backlot now. We shoot the big stuff out here. Exterior scenes on a grand scale. Wow, look at all that. That's a lot of brick wall. How many bricks do you think are in that wall? The answer is none, ladies and gentlemen. I know you know where I'm going with this. Movies are based on illusions. These metropolitan sets are a great example of just that. They may appear to be built out of brick and stone, but they're actually made out of foam rubber and fiberglass over metal and wood frames. We call them facades. They're really just the fronts and sides of buildings. Built that way because, not because we only bother building what the camera can see. Any Key and Peele fans out there? Yep. Underneath this blue awning is where they shot their ballet sketches. What's Up with the Batmans and Nonstop, though, when they had their show on Comedy Central. More fake bricks, and a really cool spray paint mural over here on the right, done by an incredible artist named Tristan Eaton, who started out on the streets of LA spray painting buildings and clearly had some talent. Now he's worked all over the world.
Khu này là khu để đóng phim thật
like Nike, Apple,
tạo nên những cái khu nhà này
heads of state, President Obama.
chuyên để đóng phim.
So, looks like Diego. These guys are
Đấy, tạo thành nguyên cả một khu phố như này.
All right, guys, we just turned down New York Street. It comes complete with its own Park Terrace Hotel, its own theater district, and its own Macy's. Over here on your right, they're dressing this set up. They must be doing a night shoot, because normally we wouldn't be driving through a film set like this, but we'll probably shoot at night. Yeah, Granny's little shop of little things or something. I think that's good, girls. This blue glass building coming up on your right is really cool. This has been designed so you can shoot towards it without getting the reflection of the camera in the glass. See how our reflection angles off? Remember, anytime you point a camera at somebody, if there's glass or a mirror behind them, it might end up in the shot, and that's not good. We call it a blooper. It's not what you want. We can't talk about New York without somebody who knows the town. So once again, here's Jimmy Fallon.
Hey everyone, welcome to New York. I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Almost got mugged over there by an old woman, tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey buddy, how's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey, I'm walking here. Hey, it's cool guys. I was just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
All right, guys. We're going to say goodbye to the concrete jungle of our metropolitan sets and say hello to the prehistoric jungle of Skull Island. Here's King Kong director Peter Jackson to lead the way.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up an adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. How kind of place is it? So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
Kính hả? Hôm nay hạ kính.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, adventure awaits. Let's get those 3D glasses on. Hold on to your belongings. Remain seated at all times. Next stop, Skull Island.
Nó vừa bảo đeo kính vào ạ.
Skull Island.
the experience.
Quá siêu.
Guys, now hang on to those 3D glasses. You don't have to wear them right now. In fact, I'd actually appreciate it if you did, because to be perfectly honest, it freaks me out if I was staring at them with the glasses on. But do hang on to them. I have a feeling we're going to be needing them a little bit later on in the tour. Now, King Kong 360
Anh cả nước mà.
Studios, Hollywood.
Đây là nước còn dính đầy thầy.
Peter Jackson, the Academy Award-winning director. That epic battle we just witnessed was created using some of the most advanced technology in filmmaking today.
Rõ nhưng mà không biết cái máy này nó không qua kính này thì nó có rõ không thôi.
Standing 40 feet tall and 180 feet long.
With a project like the studio tour, the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions. There's creatures coming at them. They're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side.
Working on a movie, we always know where people are looking. They're looking straight ahead. They're looking at the shot that we're working on.
Here you have to take into
Làm vòng nữa à?
we're looking in all directions. Also, one of the things
Vừa nãy lên dốc đây đây.
Movies that we used to work
À lại đi tiếp cái khác.
This one giant shot, this tram that's driving along through Skull Island is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away. We're really creating about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting it to the audience, it's a hell of a ride.
Heck of a ride indeed. Now, during King Kong 360 3D, a portion of this tram was pulled into the movie. When it was, it became a picture car. A picture car is any vehicle on a set that is seen by the camera, and sometimes they become just as famous as the stars who drive them. Or the stars who get driven over by them, for that matter. And over the years, picture cars have become bigger, badder, and faster as audiences embrace their need for speed. There's our time-traveling DeLorean. That's one of 8 they used for Back to the Future. Hey, Doc. My personal favorite, the Magnum PI Ferrari, ladies and gentlemen. Who do you think would win in a race? The Magnum PI Ferrari or the Knight Rider Cobra? Let's have a look. Well, smart money's on the Cobra, especially because the Ferrari is actually a Ferrari body over a Volkswagen engine. The Ferrari engine was just too loud for the Magnum PI sound department, so they had to change it out. And some time-traveling options for you out there. These Flintstones
Đây là
cars
xe
just
chuyên để đóng phim đây.
How'd you like to tackle the PGA Tour?
Ủa, quả này như tên lửa luôn này.
And we can't talk about picture cars without talking about the most successful franchise in Universal's history, the Fast and the Furious films. That tank from Michael Bay's Transformers, about 75% comprised of plywood. When it comes to building sets and things for movies, guys, if it's wood, it's good. The right production design, you can make it look like anything. Metal, marble, brick, you name it. Most importantly, it's light and easy to work with. It goes up fast and it comes down fast. When it comes to making movies, time is always of the essence. Anybody recognize this camouflage Mercedes on the right? I'll give you a hint.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
All these sets and vehicles coming up were used in Steven Spielberg's original Jurassic Park films. This is the mobile lab, dangled precariously from that parking structure we drove past earlier. It was made up to look like a massive cliff face. This mobile lab's coming up on the left.
Don't move!
Oh yeah, ooh, wow, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming. Now, dinosaurs are in our DNA here at Universal. So much so we always keep a few on hand. That's Groucho, Harpo, Zeppo, and Chico 4 of the friendliest dinosaurs you're ever going to want to meet. That's how you say hello with dinosaur. With projectile vomiting. Something positive. Now, ladies and gentlemen, weather played a very important role in all of the Jurassic movies, creating just the right mood and atmosphere. Weather effects have always been kind of tricky here in Hollywood because most of the time we have sunshine. But some days are not the best days to shoot on. The sun creates a lot of shadows. What about extreme weather conditions like storms and floods? Well, for that sort of thing, filmmakers actually have to create them. We have a look at some of the ways they do it. Yeah, let's start with some rain.
Mưa cảnh là mưa. Đấy là mưa đấy, chớp chớp đấy. Đấy.
Problem is when we get too much rain, it can lead to disaster.
Chỉ là cái bé phun nước thôi.
We got one headed right for us.
Mưa như thật luôn. Thác đổ kìa. Ui rồi. Ui giời. Wow.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you're sitting in one of the blue seats, well, you may get wet on the tour today. That flood was caused by dumping thousands of gallons of recycled water from large tanks on the hill. Here's what it looks like from actor Paul Giamatti's point of view in the comedy Big Fat Liar.
You can't outrun the wolf, kid! Yeah, but he does that. You're a funny person!
Now we're taking you back across the border and back in time to the Wild West. Recently shot in our Wild West sets, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie. We call this street 6 Points because it has 6 points, 6 corners. Back in the days of silent film when sound wasn't really an issue, each corner had its own bank, its own saloon, and its own jail. So we could actually shoot 6 different westerns on this street at the same time. And our cowboys always looked larger than life. Part of that had to do with the way we built these sets. Take a look around, you'll notice some of the doorways seem a little smaller than they ought to be. That's so when our actors stood in them, they'd look bigger and brawnier than they actually were. We also made some doorways much bigger, so some of our actors would appear more demure and vulnerable. But in the heyday of the Western, these sets were wall-to-wall action. Alright guys, we're just past the halfway point, about 60% here coming out of 6 Points. Just want to remind everybody to remain seated at all times. If you drop your cell phone, you have a restroom emergency, reach up and pull that red cord. Get my attention, I'll come back and we'll sort it out, but please remain seated on the tram. As soon as this turbulence is over, our beverage service will resume. And shortly after that, we'll be landing in Rome, or Paris, or Berlin. Our next stop is Europe, and my co-host Jimmy Fallon has gone up ahead to get a lay of the land and meet some of the locals.
Mi chiamo Jimmy Fallon e tu un grosso partito di vino. Mamma mia! Je m'appelle Jimmy Fallon. Je vais avoir tes baguettes. Mon soleil mort! Hallo, ich bin Jimmy Fallon. Schnitzel. Ich glaub, wie steht auf mich.
Now, what's funny about those 3 scenes was one was set in Italy, one in France, and one in Germany. But they were all shot right here in an area we call Little Europe. And we can make these sets look like many of the cities in Europe simply by changing the language on the street signs and the buildings, adding the appropriate vehicles and props and color schemes. This was Rome for Ron Howard's Angels and Demons, starring Tom Hanks. Port Royale and parts of Tortuga for Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean 1, 2, and 3. Right now, Little Europe is dressed as the afterlife for The Good Place, starring Ted Danson and Kristen Bell. The Good Place just wrapped its 4th and final season, so this is going to be one of the last times we'll be able to see these sets in this particular configuration. It's also where we invented the monster movie with classics like Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, and the Mummy. Alright guys, we're coming up to the sets and base camp for Home and Family on the left, and they're actually working today, so I'm going to have to go off the microphone for just a moment.
Sí, no, lo que necesitamos es que ingrese nuevo.
Now, this Tranquil Lagoon over here on your right is the original Black Lagoon from the cult classic The Creature from the Black Lagoon. They used 2 different stuntmen to play this creature. Don Chapman wore a darker suit, played the creature on land. And a guy named Rico Browning, with a lighter suit, played him in the water. The lighter suit photographed better, and Browning had to learn to hold his breath for up to 4 minutes at a time. Quick little detour back through some of our Wild West sets. While we're on the subject of creatures from the deep, we're heading into Amity Island, ladies and gentlemen. A lovely little tourist town that was terrorized by a man-eating great white shark. Locals had a name for it. They called it Jaws. Since then, the shark has ruled these waters, crippling the tourist economy, leaving the path of death and destruction in its wake. But we've just been informed the shark has been caught. There's a diver in the scene right now doing a final sweep of the harbor. There's the shark. Wow, it's a big one too. Look at that. Shark that size, swallow you whole. Suffering sequels. There's another shark out there. Oh no, there's a diver in the water.
Oye, y lo del el poder ese sí,
oh, that's gotta hurt. Still have a chance to catch that shark. There's some bait tied to the end of that yellow barrel out there. If he takes it, we'll snag him. He's taking the bait. He's taking the whole job. Remember, cameras, gas, and electricity. A lethal combination. That's about the most fun fun Diego and I have all day watching you watch the shark. It's the screams that keep us going. You've just come face to face with Bruce the Shark. He was named after director Steven Spielberg's lawyer, with love, of course. As you can see, there's the only shark around that swims backwards, which is pretty impressive. Bruce the Shark just as much of a terror off-screen as he was on. In fact, the first day of filming Jaws, Bruce sank to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, prompting the cast and crew to nickname the production Flaws.
That's a much maligned shark. The shark was frustrating. It didn't really work all the time. It didn't work hardly at all.
Wherever you were on the island, you could hear the radio waves. They were always saying, the shark is not working. Repeat, the shark is not working.
We just waited around. We just waited and waited and waited.
The shark worked well enough. For a while there, it had the biggest hit of all time. So I really owe the shark a lot.
Now, Ebony Island also doubled as Cabot Cove for the series Murder, She Wrote, starring Angela Lansbury. Still got some Cabot Cove evidence over there by the dock. Coming up on your left is Elm Street. It's where Jason Bateman and Charlize Theron lived in Hancock, directed by Pete Bird. Also starred Will Smith. It's where Eric Bana lived in Hulk, directed by Ang Lee. Back over here on your right, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Mona's Chicken Ranch was built in 1982. The best little whorehouse in Texas. Since then, it's been used in countless productions. And this is a treat. We don't drive down this street very often. It's a very popular spot for production. We're turning down Colonial Street, otherwise known as Wisteria Lane for ABC's Desperate Housewives. Number 43 coming up on your left is actually 1313 Mockingbird Lane. That's the original Munsters house from that classic series. Back over here on your right, this pale greenhouse is where Tom Hanks lived in the movie The Burbs, the 1980s. Also shot on the street commercials, music videos, feature films like Why Him with James Franco and Bryan Cranston. Had this whole street decked out in fake snow for Why Him. Helicopter lands and James Franco gets out and visits Bryan Cranston and his family for Christmas. Now the street has seen some bad times over the years. It was infested by vampires in Joss Whedon's Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode called Hush. It was nominated for an Emmy and almost entirely silent. The street was destroyed by a killer comet in Deep Impact with Téa Leoni and Robert Duvall, and haunted by a friendly ghost in Casper with Christina Ricci. It's Colonial Street. Now 1312 over here on the left is the house from Matlock, starring Andy Griffith. Right next door to the House of the Seven Gables, based on Nathaniel Hawthorne's classic tale. Looks like this one needs a little bit of a renovation. And that brings us to our wilderness area, guys. You can picture Sandra Bullock out here with a blindfold on. They shot pickups for Bird Box out here, as well as scenes from 911 starring Peter Krause and Angela Bassett. Now, those are very realistic style neighborhoods and locations, but sometimes we get the call to do something a little bit more wild. And that's what faced Ron Howard and his production team when they designed the Whoville sets for Dr. Seuss How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
One of the biggest creative challenges that we faced on How the Grinch Stole Christmas was to bring the storybook world of Dr. Seuss to life. Some of the most talented artists in Hollywood worked for months to create a living, breathing Whoville. When it was all done, they built an entire city. And the fantasy world of Dr. Seuss became a reality.
Mr. Grinch. These are just some of the sets we used to shoot Dr. Seuss How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Welcome to Whoville.
Lynch, you're a bad banana with a greasy black beard.
Over 2 million linear feet of styrofoam was used to create all of Whoville, and enough artificial snow to cover 9 football fields. Special effects makeup artist Rick Baker won an Academy Award dressing up Jim Carrey to be the Grinch. But the people of Whoville had more than just the Grinch to contend with, because they lived right next door to Norman Bates. These are 2 of the most famous sets in Hollywood, the Bates Motel and the Psycho House from Hitchcock's Psycho.
Perfecto, me parece bien.
Creeping character's eye.
Ahora,
That's him.
bueno, gracias. Nos hablamos. Hasta luego. Bye bye.
Yeah, guys, that was Norman Bates. I've worked here 6 years. I've never seen him. Holy homicide. Well, he's probably just helping that woman check out. Oh, she's checked out all right. Uh-oh. Now he's checking us out. We better hit the road. Now, if the Psycho House looks a little bit small, it's because it's a 3/4 scale. It was built that way so Norman there would look bigger and more menacing when he stood in the doorway. Just beyond the Psycho House, one of the most impressive sets ever created. The spectacular crash site. Steven Spielberg. Starring Dakota Fanning and Tom Cruise. This is all that's left of the neighborhood they hide out in during the film. That's a real plane, by the way. A real 747 destroyed just for the scene.
The airplane press site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around the vision that Steven had.
When we first began to sit down to talk about the War of the World, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep your eyes on me. Listen, now, listen. I want you to close your eyes, okay? Down closed. Robbie, get in. Get in.
All right, guys, we're about 10 minutes out now. Going to have you back in the theme park in no time. Just want to remind everybody to pull that red cord if you need assistance. Remain seated. If I could live anywhere in Southern California, it would be in this rustic log cabin coming up on the right, where they shot scenes from Deja Vu with Denzel Washington, Shooter with Mark Wahlberg, and Star Trek Picard with Patrick Stewart. But the really spectacular thing about this cabin is its view, because behind it lies Falls Lake and the largest freestanding backdrop in Hollywood. Now, you may think you've never been here before, but trust me, you have. You just don't recognize it. For those of you who've seen Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, remember the mermaid sequence? Shot right out there. And Falls Lake is where Tom Hanks evacuated an A320 on the Hudson River in Clint Eastwood's Sully.
Evacuate.
Falls Lake is a series of pools with different levels of depth that we can fill and drain. So with the shell of an aircraft out there, raise the water level up, add some actors and stunt personnel. The New York skyline in the background was actually put in post-production. It's computer-generated imagery, or CGI. All right, guys, you've been pretty much through the entire filmmaking process now. There's only one thing left to do. We want to immerse you into a movie. Everybody stay seated. In fact, hold on tight, because we're all about to become characters in the Fast and Furious.
Studio tour. Looks like we might have an issue. I'm patching you into Agent Novak from the FBI.
Look, this might be more serious than I thought. What just happened? This is a secure line. Who are you?
I'll tell you who I am, boy. I'm the reason bad guys use a nightlight. I'm the reason the boogeyman begs his mama to look under his bed. And I'm the reason you just lost control of this whole operation. My name is Special Agent Luke Hobbs of the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service, and as of 16.9 seconds ago, I'm the man in charge.
The hell you are.
Let me clue you in on two things, sweet cheeks. One, there's a high-value witness from the Federal Protection Program aboard your vehicle. And two, an international crime syndicate led by Owen Shaw is honing in on this vehicle to take that witness out. Shaw's as ruthless as they come. He'll stop at nothing to eliminate his target. Every living soul on this vehicle is in serious danger. Other than that, enjoy the ride.
This is what we doing. This is the race day after party. And what are the other people?
Roman Pierce, FBI, don't move.
Bill?
That's right, party's over.
You know how long I took to iron this shirt, man? I'm not.
You're under arrest right now.
Ladies, just back up a little bit. Got it. Slightly. First of all, I don't work for you.
Oh, really? Well, tell me, Roman, who do you work for?
We don't work for nobody. Cop, I suggest you clear out of here, otherwise we can't guarantee your safety.
Guarantee my safety? I'm the one holding the gun.
Yeah, but mine's a whole lot bigger than yours. Escort this novice out.
Let's go, Cookie Puss.
Got an ugly suit on, man. It's cheap.
Somebody out there really pissed off Shaw. It's gonna get ugly fast.
Yeah, don't worry. Lucky for you, our whole family will protect you.
Are you kidding me, Roman? You didn't shut off your phone, bro?
I gotta call you back. I'm gonna let this back.
See what I'm talking about?
Call you back.
Man.
It was on vibrating. Sure traced us. I just can't hold it forever. Letty, Roman, we're up. Driver, move that vehicle.
Oh, we're moving all right.
It's about to get real interesting. The Mona Lisa's all warmed up right next door. Roman, grab your truck. I need you and Letty ready to roll.
All right, folks, stay low, stay seated, stay alert. We'll get through this. But you better put on those bulletproof 3D glasses again for protection, just in case.
Which one of you is the witness? Speak now or you all get fried!
This is our turn.
After them!
attraction! Everybody hold on!
Now that's right, folks. Fast and Furious. Supercharged. It's how we roll.
Good job, everybody. Protect the witness and resume breathing.
You know it's crazy out there. You guys work hard. Respect.
You know, my Mona Lisa got messed up a little bit, but it's all good. We got through it. Y'all held us down. Appreciate it. They said the bigger the family, the stronger it is.
Cái xe này vẫn đứng im đi. Vẫn đứng im, nó có chạy. Trở lại với hiện thực, cái nó lọc ca lọc cọc.
All right, guys, we're near the end of our tour. Once again, my name is Andy. On behalf of myself, Diego, and all of us here at NBC Universal, it's been a pleasure showing you guys around. Try to get the most out of your time here. Make sure you download